Welcome to Mind Your Money with me, Cheryl Go. Lots coming up this hour. When life takes a difficult turn, the financial strain can add to an already heavy load. So we're going to unpack the ways planning ahead can help families cope with more clarity and less panic. Also on the Work It podcast, retrenched or wrongful dismissal. Are unions doing enough to help workers fight for their rights? We're going to find out. Let's get to the news first. U.S. media reports say President Donald Trump lobbied football's governing body FIFA to review striker Folarin Balogun's suspension, and he was sent off during the United States match against Bosnia-Herzegovina, resulting in a suspension that would have ruled him out of tomorrow's clash with Belgium. But FIFA has overturned that decision, clearing him to play while offering no explanation for the move. Andrea Heng has more on the controversy.
Mr. Trump thanked FIFA in a post on his Truth Social platform for reversing what he described as great injustice. But it drew immediate flack from Belgian football officials who said they were stunned by the decision that contradicts FIFA's own regulations. Balogun had been shown a red card after a video-assisted referee review showed that he'd stepped on the foot of a Bosnian defender in a last 32 clash that the U.S. won 2-0. U.S. coach Mauricio Pochettino called the incident unintentional and said Balogun should never have received the red card.
Now, several other controversies have cast a shadow over this year's World Cup. This includes tensions between the U.S. and Iran, which complicated Tehran's participation. CNA's Julie Yu has more.
Well, the Iranian team was forced to relocate its training base to Mexico after some members of its delegation were denied U.S. visas. That meant players had to make repeated cross-border trips into the U.S. for matches before returning to Mexico. Iran's head coach described the treatment of his team as really terrible. Well, the restrictions haven't just affected teams. A U.S. travel ban covering citizens from dozens of countries has made it harder for supporters from participating nations like Haiti, Senegal, and Ivory Coast to attend matches. The Somali referee Omar Artan was denied entry despite being selected to officiate at the World Cup. But the cost of watching the tournament in person also came under fire. Now, this year's World Cup was the first to use dynamic pricing, meaning ticket prices rose and fell based on demand. And many fans said the prices were simply out of reach, with official premium tickets for the final selling for nearly $11,000 US. The weather also posed a challenge. Extreme heat has forced cooling breaks during the games as part of FIFA's safety measures. But critics argue that it disrupts the flow of matches and give coaches extra opportunities to adjust tactics.
And still on World Cup news, 5-time champions Brazil have been knocked out of the FIFA World Cup after losing 2-1 against Norway in New Jersey. It is Brazil's earliest World Cup exit since 1990 and one of the biggest shocks of this year's tournament. Now, 2 goals from Erling Haaland in the second half flipped the Vikings to their first World Cup quarterfinal as the Manchester City striker joined Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe at the top of the Golden Boot race. Now, it's a historic win for the Norwegians, who will take on either Mexico or England on Sunday. We will move on now to other world news. Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, remains elusive as the country prepares for what's expected to be the largest day of his father's week-long funeral. The coffin of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei will be taken through the capital today. Ali Khamenei was 86 years old and had been supreme leader since 1989. Now, he was killed in a U.S.-Israeli airstrike at the start of the war in February. Reports say other members also died, including one daughter and a 14-month-old granddaughter. Mourners called for revenge against U.S. President Donald Trump. He reportedly said peace talks have been paused for the funeral. Questions linger about Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei. He has not been seen in public since he succeeded his father in March. Reports say he was wounded in the airstrike that killed his father. His absence at the funeral is reportedly due to safety concerns. Now, supply chain resilience, renewable energy and carbon credits will be on the agenda when Prime Minister Lawrence Wong joins Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto at their second leaders' retreat in Jakarta today. They are also set to discuss the Middle East crisis as both sides deepen ties ahead of their 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations in 2027. CNA's Nadira Zaidi reports from Jakarta, where she spoke with John Reichmatt, who is Independent Commissioner at Pinnacle Investment.
A packed day for both Prime Minister Lawrence Wong and Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto as they prepare for the second leaders' retreat, this time here in Jakarta. The last was in Singapore in June last year, where both leaders discussed the green economy and human capital development. As part of the agenda this year, the leaders are expected to discuss and strengthen collaboration in areas of mutual interest. These include supply chain resilience, renewable energy, and carbon credits. Both leaders will also receive updates on bilateral projects since their last retreat. These may include developing low-carbon zones in Batam, Bintan, and Karimun, as well as strengthening cross-border electricity trade.
The negotiation has been ongoing for a very long time. And if it does happen, it will be a big boost for Singapore's own economic future. But recently, only a few days ago, the Indonesian side postponed this contract. This should have started this year, but now they are talking between 2027 to 2030. So these are the kind of things that we have big hopes that Mr. Lawrence Wong will sort out with the Indonesian president.
The meeting is also expected to review the progress of the 6 bilateral economic working groups focused on developing special economic zones, agriculture, and tourism. Beyond bilateral ties, the two countries are also expected to exchange views on regional and global issues, especially as the situation in the Middle East continues to evolve. The meeting in Jakarta gives both leaders an opportunity to discuss the wider impact of the crisis and the challenges ahead. On the economic front, Indonesia is Singapore's 6th largest trading partner last year, and Singapore has been Indonesia's largest source of foreign direct investment since 2014. Last year alone, it contributed more than $17 billion, accounting for about a third of Indonesia's total investment inflows. The Prime Minister's office says the leaders' retreat reaffirms the deep and close bilateral ties between Singapore and Indonesia as both sides mark 60 years of diplomatic relations in 2027. Nadira Zaidi, CNA, Jakarta.
Now, in some news at home, a 24-year-old man has died after he was reportedly struck by lightning near Pasir Ris Beach. The man was among a group of 8 people, aged between 13 and 54, who were sent to the hospital yesterday afternoon. Police said they received a call for help at about 4:40 p.m. from 131 Pasir Ris Road, just off Pasir Ris Beach. 2 people were sent to KK Women's and Children's Hospital, while the other 6 were sent to Sengkang General Hospital. The police said the 24-year-old man was already unconscious and subsequently died. They did not suspect foul play based on preliminary investigations. And finally, Singapore's courts are increasingly sending those charged with offences for counselling and mental health support well before their sentencing. Now, it's an early intervention strategy to tackle the root causes of their crimes, such as addiction, and start rehabilitation immediately. Now, the state courts now work with 19 community partners, up from just 2 in 2018. CNA's Aslam Shah sits down with a man who has been waiting 5 years for his sentence.
At 28, John, he had it all. He excelled in school, loved by family and friends, and built a career around helping others. But behind that life was a secret he had kept for more than a decade, a pornography addiction that kept getting worse.
What started off as just the first viewing of maybe a still image with porn gradually becomes the need to watch videos, and then after videos, then you get into specific, let's use the word categories. Yeah, because enough is never enough, and then the addiction just worsens.
John says he hid his struggle as he was too ashamed to seek help. The addiction developed into voyeurism and eventually led him to commit a sexual offence.
For most people charged with a crime in Singapore, the judicial process brings them here. But sentencing can take weeks, months, or even years for the necessary steps to take place. And during that time, they can lose their jobs, their income, even their relationships. Counsellors say this can take an immense emotional toll. But it's also a critical opportunity to intervene before things spiral even further.
John was referred by the lawyers to the community partner. At first, he says it was for a mitigation report, but therapy became something more, a way to understand his addiction, his shame, and the harm caused. Its main program supports people from the moment they are charged through sentencing, incarceration, and eventually their return to the community. Apart from the lawyers, the courts may also refer those facing criminal proceedings for assessment when psychological needs are flagged. These can include mental health difficulties, substance abuse, family dysfunction, and harmful coping behaviors. The support does not replace punishment. It is meant to help rehabilitation start earlier and stop reoffending. The court support network has grown. The state courts now work with 19 community partners, up from just 2 when such partnerships began in 2008. Referrals have also gone up steadily, from 443 in 2023 to over 540 in 2025.
CNA's Aslam Shah there, wrapping up your news with me, Cheryl Goh. Headlines anytime on CNA 938 and CNA.Asia. (10:11) is your time on this Monday. It is the 6th of July. Let's check on the roads for you. Accidents on the BKE towards Woodlands after KJE. Another accident on Dunnan Road towards the city at Wayang Satu Flyover. Please avoid lane 2. We've got a vehicle breakdown on the PIE towards Changi after Bukit Timah Road, and another vehicle breakdown on the PIE towards Changi after Jalan Yunus. As always, please do be patient. Drive carefully.
This traffic update is brought to you by BYD. Bring the family to the BYD booth at the SG Carmart Carnival this weekend. Explore the latest BYD electric vehicles and enjoy exclusive offers.
Weather-wise today, thundery showers expected over the northern, western and central parts of Singapore later this afternoon. Temperatures ranging from 24 to 33 degrees Celsius.
Always take the weather with you. Mitsubishi Electric Star Max Aircon saves you energy and money. It's easy to clean and is one of the quietest.